Okay, so I have Kim here with me today. So we'll just jump into it. So Kim, if you wouldn't mind, what were you struggling with before in your health before you were joined Limbic System Rewire?
So in the few years previous to joining, I had struggled with really too many symptoms probably to list right now, but I had pretty much every symptom you could imagine. I had stomach issues, dietary issues. I had multiple chemical sensitivities, smell sensitivities, headaches, dizziness, low blood pressure, anxiety. I had really just a whole host of things. Yeah. And just like very immediately to starting the program was really the sensitivity to smells and chemicals and food reactions and major anxiety and even OCD issues in regards to foods and those things.
Okay, great. And then what at that moment, like when we were talking, why did you not almost join? And then when you just what was the deciding factor that gave you that confidence to move forward with joining Limbic System Rewire?
Well, I had actually heard about some similar programs. I don't know, for several months prior, I had a doctor tell me that I probably had some limbic system dysfunction. Mm-hmm. And at that time, that was something very new to me. And I looked into some programs that she recommended, and it was very overwhelming. I wasn't sure about it. It sounded kind of, I don't know, not weird, but it just seemed like that was not going to solve all of my problems. And, and a lot of the programs required a lot of time and a lot of money, and I was short on both of those. And so I guess at the time I initially heard about it, I just was not in a place that I was ready to go that route. And so then when I found out that Brooklyn was doing a program, some time had passed. And so I was very interested since I had heard some about it before and, started looking into it. But I think I still had some of the same concerns as far as anytime you have to spend money on something, that's a concern. Especially when, like for me, I had already spent so much on doctors and tests and labs and supplements. And it's like, do I really want to spend anything else on something that I, felt like was not a guarantee? So those were, some of my concerns is, do I want to waste the time? Do I want to waste my effort? Do I want to waste my money? And possibly just be disappointed again.
Great. And then what was that deciding factor? You're like, okay, I'm going to do it. Did anything push you over the edge, to decide to enroll?
I think really two things. For one, I was just at a place where I had exhausted every other option. Nothing else worked, or some things would work a little bit, but then I couldn't, get over the hump. I couldn't get rid of these symptoms, or I just didn't feel 100% like I should have, or I believed I should have. And so that was kind of just like a point of desperation. Well, I've tried everything. So really, what's it going to hurt to try one more thing? And then also the thing that stood out to me about Brooklyn's program was just the connection with God, I think. And I think God had me in a place too, where he was leading me on a certain path. And it just felt like he placed y'all on my path at that time. And so hearing the role that your faith played into the program, that really kind of made me feel more safe about it, I guess. And it lined up with my beliefs and what I believed to be true about healing and about God's part in that. So those were kind of the deciding factors for me.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I agree. God's timing is always perfect. So what was one of your first wins or one of your biggest realizations that, okay, this was going to work? Maybe anything you recall.
Yeah. So without looking at my notes, I think one of the first things I started noticing was the sensitivity to smells started going away. And that was one that was actually very severe for me. So I could not go in many stores that have strong smells in them. I couldn't go in. All of the products in our home that I use, that my kids use, everything had to be no smell. So whether it's cleaning products or, bath products, I was no perfumes. My kids, I had to be really particular about even the things they use. And it also made it difficult going to other people's homes. And in fact, I remember starting a life group at my new church, and I was so embarrassed because I had to ask them beforehand, do y'all have strong, candles, or, because I knew that it gave me such bad reactions and headaches. And there were a lot of times where I was in a situation where I was exposed to a smell that made me really sick. And so that was a really big one for me because it limited so much that I could do. And even smells that I had always loved previously, I couldn't tolerate. And so when I started noticing, like coffee, for example, was one that made me really sick. And I loved the smell of coffee before that. So when I started noticing, oh, I'm around my friend and she has a cup of coffee and it's not bothering me, or, other various smells. I think one of the first things I was able to do was wear perfume. And so what seems like maybe little things to some people was a big deal to me, because it was just a part of my life that I felt was different and I was missing. And so that was probably one of the first things that I noticed.
That's great. Yeah. And since then, like, what are some of the measurable results you've enjoyed since you started?
Really so many. The smells obviously continued. And so now I have probably very, very few that still bother me. And it's things that would probably bother most people, like bleach or really strong things like that. But it's nothing that keeps me from living my life the way that I want to. And so that was a big one. I would say the emotional side of it, just how I responded to different circumstances and how I reacted, like physically, how my body reacted to stress and emotional stress or physical stress. Physically, I have had so many, like I feel extremely healthy. Like I've had a cold for the first time in a while, a few weeks ago, and I was fine. Like I never had to take medication. My body did what it was supposed to do and fought it off, and I healed, and it was fine. And I don't have headaches all the time. I don't have, I'm able to be active with my kids, and I'm not running marathons yet, but I'm, able to hike up waterfalls, and I'm able to keep up with them for the most part. And I am not having to take time out of my day to take a nap or having to miss out on anything because I feel bad physically. I don't have stomach issues. So that's the physical side of it. And like I said, the emotional side of it, I'm just much calmer and able to handle things better than I was previously. Like things before that would make me fall apart, I just can deal with it and move on now. And then one of the biggest ones that, you and I have talked about a lot was my eating, because I had so many restrictions. I was eating less than 10 different food items. So basically for 2 years, I lived off of these smoothie shake things I made, and plain pasta, like with nothing on it. And now I am at a point of eating almost completely normal the way I was previously. And that has been such a huge change for me, not only physically, because I've been able to gain weight and feel better because I am getting more calories, but really just the emotional implications of that, and how I felt like I was just missing out on life for all that time. And now I can share in dinners with my family and holidays, when you gather around food, and that is connected to memories, and I can be a part of that and not have to miss out, and be a part of, special things with my kids that involve, meals and eating dinner with them at the table. So that really has been one of the biggest blessings and the biggest wins. And overall, just the change in my faith and my spiritual journey, and the healing that is brought just to my mind, and the way that I can connect, God's word that says to take every thought captive and make it obedient to him. And I've seen that play out, and I've seen how that really does create healing. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. You put in the work, and I'm excited for you. And the last question, so what would you say to someone who's maybe skeptical about working with us? Anything on that note?
I would say that I definitely understand the skepticism. I understand when you've tried so many things and nothing's worked, and it feels like pointless to try one more thing. I understand that it can feel like maybe this isn't really doing that much per se. You're not taking something, you're not, doing, I'm a big doer. So for me, it's like, I want to see that I'm, putting in hard work. And so maybe this doesn't seem that way to some people. And maybe it seems like this is crazy. How can this really fix all the problems that I have? And I understand those thoughts and feelings. And I would say that the thing that helped me was just thinking of, okay, what do I have to lose? Is this really going to hurt anything? And ultimately the answer for me was no. I had nothing else to lose. And it wasn't something that I feared. It wasn't like a scary treatment that I was, could possibly make myself more sick. So once I kind of realized that I am not okay living this way anymore, and I have nothing to lose, and it's not going to it can't make me any worse. So it was kind of that place of, why not?
Right.
I could list all the reasons why it might not work, but at the end of the day, there was still the chance that it could. And I think too, just praying about it and feeling, God lead me in the way that he wanted me to go. And I truly do believe that it was his plan and his timing, and that he led me to that path. So prayer helped me, and just being in a place where I was desperate to do anything, and I knew that it wasn't going to hurt.
Right.
So
Awesome. Yeah. No, thanks for sharing that. All of it.